Okay. Yay. Well, welcome everyone. Um, we are just I'm so excited about today's training. I love talking about this. Because I love our team, and I was looking at those team pictures that we took from our leadership retreat, and it just makes my heart so happy. I love seeing all of you shine and share your excitement in our team page and just in your posts. Like the love and the excitement and the joy just really seems to kind of ooze, which it just shows what a powerful gift recruiting and inviting to this community and this company can really give people, right? Does anyone feel like they're great, like they were given a gift by being here? Because I sure do. Um, and so just before we jump into today's topic, just a couple like housekeeping things. So, for those of you who are like newer or just, missed things, or I also don't always communicate super clearly, but from like now till like, our plan as leaders, moving forward for the foreseeable future until something changes is to offer trainings like this, of some sort a couple times a month. So the plan currently is the second and fourth Thursday, I forgot what day it was, second and fourth Thursday of each month, and then we'll have topics. So if you ever have a topic that you're like, hey, I would really love more training on X, Y, and Z, feel free to give us feedback, share with me or one of the other leaders, or just post in the team page, because we will happily do that. We can bring in other leaders from the company, outside sources. I know I was just talking to a couple of you amazing ladies who are, I think it was Michelle and Cindy, who are, was it Cindy? That are doing amazing job at like home parties. So we're going to throw something together and feature them because they're doing it. And I think it's so fun to see. So it won't always just even be us. So if you also feel like, hey, I would love to lead, I'd love to teach, I'd love to share what's working for me, please let us know. So we want you to have the mic as well. So that's kind of housekeeping item number one. Housekeeping item number two is that tonight we're doing another Hormone Harmony event. So I think like monthly, we've kind of done a public, outward facing, informational, educational kind of event, that also highlights some of our products. So we've done the routine, I think a couple times now, where we're talking about just overall hormone health. And then tonight we're doing another Hormone Harmony, but the focus tonight is sleep. And we will be incorporating the glow to sleep set. So the gua sha, that's not in the set, but we'll be talking about the night serum, the night supplement. Kim will be talking about gua sha as well, and just the importance of sleep, and then how that can impact beauty, mental health, weight, hormones, and then just some like free value of like, how do you set yourself up for sleep, a good healthy night's sleep. So that's tonight, and that we're doing just to have something to invite to for all of us, right? For your prospects, your prospective customers, your prospective advocates, your existing team, your existing clientele, or even just yourself to feel like more knowledgeable and confident. So that's at 8:30 East Coast time tonight. And so there's an event in the team page that shares a little bit more about that. Is there anything you guys want to, Lindsay or Kim, you want to add to either of those things? Did I miss anything? Okay. We're gonna talk today about inviting to the opportunity or recruiting. It's different. It can be overly overlapping, right, with inviting to for the products and customers. But we're going to specifically talk through the lens of looking for looking for those business builders, attracting those business builders, how we are, I think Kim, Lindsay, and I are like doing a great job in this area. Everyone is doing a great job in this area. But I think we're really excited to share about this. So one thing I wanted to say though before I kind of share the slides is like one of the beautiful things about Hugh and Grace is that, and one of the things we loved as we were coming in here and vetting this company, was seeing that there were really, I'm going to share the comp plan really fast, because a lot of companies, like, you can only grow if you just recruit. And that's the only way you can really win. That's the only way you can really earn a lot. And one of the things that we really loved, and I'm speaking on behalf of of us. So if anyone feels differently, please feel free to interject. But one of the things that was really attractive was that you could really go very, very far and very high in this company and this comp plan and your ability to earn through sales alone. And without having to build, I mean, you do need to build a team as you grow to continue to unlock the layers of the, the levels and the generation bonuses and team levels and things like that. But if you go look, if you unpack that graphic I just shared, all the way at the very top, like there, you don't need this massive organization. You don't need this massive first level. You need some strong leaders, some strong builders, and like have your solid base there, but it doesn't require just collecting warm bodies. Does anyone know what I'm talking about there? Like, it's not about just like making a little puzzle piece fit together. It's really about having a genuine community that you're growing. So I wanted to just preface that because like this is specifically geared towards recruiting, but if like sales and is more your like jam and you're seeing success there and like there's no one way is right or one way is wrong. Okay. So I just wanted to kind of like preface that. Is that fair? And is there any questions or if there's anyone that has like, I'm really struggling with this in this topic, please put it in the chat. Take a second to do that so we can make sure to touch on it, even if we just touch on it at the end. And then Kim and Lindsay and I will kind of share what that's looked like for us. And there will be a little work activity in the middle of that. If you can turn on your camera, that would be great, just because that's helpful to get the nonverbal feedback. If you're multitasking, that's completely fine. We don't care. And that's all I have. Anyone, you guys want to add anything before I share the screen?
I was just looking for the live in the team page. I was going to tag everyone, but I'm not seeing it. Is it live? Do you see it? I just want to make sure before we start that it didn't go away.
I hope I didn't go to my page. Oh, hello. Okay, good. I was like, am I straight? Hold on, let me see. Go away. It's there in the team page.
It's there? Okay.
Maybe a heart attack. I'm like, oh my God, did I just say that to my entire Facebook world? Not that it was bad, but like that was like, my stomach went my toes for a minute. I'm like, of all the topics, it's not something I want to like talk really candidly to like the general world, Thank you for giving me a gray hair, Lindsay. No, it's okay. It's in there. No, it's all good. That's funny. Okay. So let me find the slides. Where did they go? Come on. Oh, it's because that's there. All right. And I don't remember. Kim, were you up first?
Yeah.
Okay. Oops. Just kidding. I never edited that slide. All right, go for it, Kim.
Hello. So I find it ironic that I am doing this on recruiting when I specifically joined this company because I felt like my skill in selling would allow me to earn money rather than having to depend on recruiting, because I literally felt like I was not a good recruiter. And yet I have been like one of the top recruiters for the past 5 months. And so I just want to come to you with my own thought process. And so I almost didn't join this business because I said, I'm not a good recruiter. Jamie is great with relationships. Courtney Bell is great with relationships. Like I'm just a seller. I'm just like, that's what I do. I can't see myself building another team anymore. And so I personally believe that recruiting, there's nothing more that tells me about how somebody feels about themselves than what they're doing in recruiting, because I think it really has to do with what you feel about yourself, what you feel about your team, what you feel about what you're offering. And so I love this quote by Cheryl Strayed. She's the person who got lost in the wild and found her way out. And she says, be about 10 times more magnanimous than you believe yourself capable to be. Your life will be 100 times better. And this is 100% what I believe recruiting is all about. It is being borderline obnoxious about what you believe about yourself, what you believe about your business, because selling somebody to join a business is a big decision. It's not, hey, let me just put some skincare on you. Like, it's not. And so you need to show up 10 times bigger. And so one of the things that I changed in myself was I consider myself like a super seller, right? Selling is something that I do very easy. And so I thought to myself, huh, I don't sell being an advocate. Like, why don't I sell that? Why don't I bring that same approach, the same things I do in selling and bring it over to recruiting? And so one of the things I want you to ask yourself is, what do you think about this business in multi-level marketing? Because I don't know about you, but in my prior industry, I felt icky. I felt like nobody would want to do what I do. Like I genuinely liked taking care of people and I liked helping people. But did I think the general bunch of people wanted to do that? No, they didn't. And honestly, in the last years of my prior business, I completely didn't feel confident about the business that I was in and what I was inviting to. And then what do you think about your team? I personally love the team because where I have a blind spot or where I'm not successful or I don't feel successful, I know somebody else is. Like Jamie is awesome about trainings and creating community and doing all that stuff. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I can stay in my zone of genius. And so that's what I love about this team. And then what do I think about myself? Because this is so true. Most people are not recruiting because they don't think they're a leader. They don't think anybody would see that they have any value. And I just got to tell you, it's not about us. It's literally not about us. We have to get over ourselves and stop focusing inward on us and really understand that this opportunity is a gift. You do not know what's going on in other people's lives. People, I can promise you, are not posting that they are this close to going to the church to get food for their families. People are not posting that, like myself, that they desperately wanted to get divorced, but they knew that they were a homemaker and so they would never be able to leave. And so you don't know those things. And so I want you to take a moment you're here, you have the gift. You can't stop, you can't keep thinking about yourself about this because it's never about us. It really isn't. And so the next thing is, where do my advocates, sorry, I misspelled that. Where do my advocates come from? Excitement about social media and posting about my business. Let me tell you something. I got off the phone with Sarah Jensen, our CEO, and I was recruiting to my business that I didn't even sign up for yet. And I didn't even try any of the products. I mean, are we talking like 10 times more than whatever? Because I believed in the mission. I believe like this was an amazing opportunity. This was everything that I wanted that I couldn't create in my previous business. And so I come on and I talk about what I love about the business all the time. And I say that because everybody's always thinking that you need to have success in order to be excited about this business. No, you don't. Taylor Swift says the worst people are the people who make fun of people who are genuinely excited about somebody, right? And if you're genuinely excited, most people are living with no emotion. Like they're just like, eh. So if you're excited about something, people are like, well, I'll have what she's having. She looks like she's happy. She looks like she's got a smile on her face. The next thing is, I think, really important. I was talking to Danielle McKean about this. Showing qualities that I want in an advocate. I'm not here to save anybody. I'm just not. I am here to connect with women who are like myself, who have been through the fire, who have had to figure it out, who have been handed maybe an unfair situation and made that baby work. Because those women need an opportunity like this. And so I show up as that strong woman and I speak to those strong women. Most people are going to people who they think are complaining about money and doing all this other stuff. Let me tell you something. They're the first people that are going to be rude to you. They're the first people that are not going to embrace the gift that you gave them. But the people who I have never gone to somebody who was like somebody who I thought was a badass and ever had them be rude to me. Ever. I've always had them say, you know what, Kim, I don't see it being for me, but thank you so much for thinking of me, right? We always have that in our head. And then the last thing is Janelle in our old company, she like gave me these words and I ran with it because we make it so complicated. And so what I said is, have you ever considered being an advocate? Have you ever considered doing this? Or would you be open to hearing about this opportunity? I'm so excited about this business. Would you be open to, and I think it was Tammy Milner who gave me those words. Would you be open to it? Right? We make this so complicated. It really isn't. It's just like, hey, I got this thing. Do you want to learn more about it? And so what I want to end with is, people are easier to find when you know their story. I mean, I just shared with you, people are not showing the real things going on in their lives. And so in my business, I live a lot in my DMs. And so that's where the heart of my business is in my DMs. And those DMs don't start with like, hey, tell me about your business. It might start with, hey, I like your lipstick. Hey, I like your bow in your hair. Like, those are the conversations. And I can tell you, if you have no DMs going on right now, that is why your business might be having an issue. And you might think that you need to force those conversations about recruiting and buying. And it's like, no, you will like literally become the hey girl. And that's not what we want to do. We need to create general connections with people. And then like somebody was like, oh, I'll be your +2. Cause I was like posting about Hawaii. And I was like, girl, I was like, you need to join my team. And it's like, then we can go next year or whatever. And I just like blurted it out. And she didn't say anything to me. And I knew I probably was like, oh, she was like, and then she was just like, and then the conversation like naturally kind of flowed again. So you just have to be bolder because we have a solution. We have an amazing team. We have an amazing position of time. Like, do you understand the time that we all joined in this business and where it's going? So that's all I got.
All right, and we're just gonna end the training right there because that was all you need to know. Like, that was amazing. Okay, we'll keep going. Linz, that was awesome, Kim. Thank you.
Okay, now that Kim has set us up and gotten us so excited, I am going to really walk through just some tangible things that I've been doing. I just kicked off in January, so just about shy of, I think I'm in month 2 right now of all of this. So what I have done first and foremost was, like Kim said, brought the energy and brought the excitement to social media. And so I wrote down that creating community is really important in 2024 when it comes to business, building a business. We did come from an era at some point where people were sending like 50 cold messages, and perhaps it worked at some point in time and it was a thing. And I know when I got started like almost 13 years ago in this industry, I was told to send those type of messages and I was like, and what I knew about that intuitively was just, we have great products, but if I approach it like directly about business, they're never going to respond back. So what I decided to do was build out a community through creating a Facebook group. And what I'm expanding into, that I told the ladies at leadership, I left a podcast recording where they had invited me to bring Hugh Grace for the attendees to try. And I was like, I'm going to dominate Arizona. So it is also on my game plan to continue to build here locally. And so anyways, just want to put that out there first. But what I did so far and what I have done is I started by attracting the dream partner to a group where I go deeper inside the community. And I did that by storytelling through posts, through my stories, through private conversations, and then events, right? So when I think about my community and I think about the person that I can help and partner with, I have certain, like I have PCOS and I have had the infertility story. So for me, I already knew a lot of women have a similar story and I've had a lot of connection with them. And I also know there's a lot more I can reach. So when I think about telling that story and putting that out there and then marrying that with the fact that I found a way to earn income around my children's schedule, because I have little guys who are in sports, and like thinking back to how could I do something and still be present for all the things I need to do for the kids, like this was the right fit for me. So I continue to tell that story, and that's how I attract them in. That's how they draw interest. So it's knowing that the products and the mission of this company and my story like work with what they may be dealing with. And then I bring them in to a Facebook community where, well, I will say if you're in that group, I know some of you guys are, there was a lot of information about Hugh Grace in the beginning, and that was because they were a hot audience. So I want to like kind of explain what this looks like. A hot audience is like, they know you, they like you, they trust you. They're like, just tell me about the company. Like, I got this. I trust you already. I just want to know about the products in the company, and I want to see if it's the right fit. If you're working with people who do not know, like, and trust you, and all you're doing is talking about the company and the products, they probably will go quiet on you because they haven't gotten to know, like, and trust you yet. So I just want to like put that out there because I think that's really important to note. But you serve them inside of that group. You add value. Like, what's going to happen tonight with this hormone event that's going on, that's serving them, that's adding value, that's showing them what it's like, what these products can do, and also just educating them on what, you know, the different things with hormone health that they may not realize, and educating them about how they can earn and what that looks like. And also just be a human in the group. Just be a human in there. Talk about Kate Middleton and what's going on right now, like, or the Love is Blind, like Jamie's doing all over her social. Same idea. That's going to help you build trust, or help them build trust with you. They're going to get to connect with you where you're not like, hey, let's talk about business, but that's going to come through. So that is what you want to do inside of your community, kind of like find a balance between the two. And then invite them if they come in the right fit. And here's the thing that I love about groups is, like, if you name it a really good name, you're going to attract the right people in, and the wrong ones won't even come in because they're going to be like, I don't belong in that group. So if you think about like hormone health, intermittent fasting, or things like that, like if they want to learn that, they're going to go that direction. So right away, it kind of does a sorting for you. And this is once you're cold market, like starting to bring people in. But then when they're in there, you can tell if they're the right fit as you are building out this community. They're going to engage, they're going to ask questions. As you share the story, they're the ones who are going to raise their hand and be like, I want to know more information. And then the other thing for me, and this is just like personal, is like, I also think like you may know people who you're like, this would be such a great fit for you. So having conversations with those people too, I think is like so important. That is a big, big thing. And so going back to like what the ladies were saying, Jamie and Kim were talking about how this is a gift for others and how we have to take ourselves out of it. So when I was thinking about this, and I was like, oh my, like there's a lot of thought when you're moving from one place to another, and just the biggest thing that stood out to me, and Kim like totally, or one of you two just totally talked about this, was how frustrated I was that the only way I could guide where I was through recruiting. That's the only way I could teach growth. And I like remember just being so upset about that because I had so many people that were doing so well in sales, and they were just getting one reward from that. And that was getting like decreased. And it was just sad for me. And so when I saw this comp plan and the way Jamie just laid that out, I was so excited because I'm like, yes, not everybody wants to come out and like do a huge team build and, you know, do this type of thing. Some do want to sell. And yeah, some of those guys are going to, that's another thing, is some of them will move into advocate. They're going to love all the stuff and they're going to they just naturally start talking about it because they're so excited. And that energy is going to draw people in. So I just want to also put that out there. But number 4 is conversations in the DMs, having these conversations, and they're all going to flow differently. It's really hard to really break down what a conversation could look like because it can look so different depending on where it goes. There's kind of like an art form to it where it just, you'll know, like I feel like intuitively you'll know when the right time is to say, hey, you should check this out. I really think you'd like this. So that's how I do this. And that's also how I've, you know, always have been able to duplicate, is just create a community and start to serve in there. Make sure you're attracting in who would be your dream partner through your story. Tell your specific story because people will see themselves in your story. And tell a business story. It doesn't have to just be a product story, but like think about a business story that you have here, what you love about it here, and they will come and follow up.
That was so great. Yes. And I love Kim's comment in the chat. Like, that's why we do these trainings, because like you're going to hear some common threads. Like, I think for this topic specifically, because Kim and Lindsay and I are strong in the recruiting component. Like, there are some there's some consistencies, right? Because this is a skill. I remember when I first started network marketing, I had zero skills. I had zero skills in selling, in conversations. I was a hot mess. In recruiting, I was like, I don't even know what that means. And so like I decided I wanted to get good at this. And this is how you get good at this, by being on trainings, by like considering what kind of training, education, and really just getting out of your comfort zone. Because a lot of this, like you've heard me say a million times, you got to throw spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. But also it's like being really intentional. And so I'm going to talk about that. You're going to hear some regurgitation of what Kim and Lindsay said, because again, I think there's some foundational pieces that you really got to own, that you're going to see as a common thread through anyone who's recruiting. And like for me, I wanted, when I came into this and I realized what was possible in the world of network marketing, I wanted that passive income. I wanted to build that impact and that community. Community is what I originally said yes to 11 years ago almost. And that was what I was seeking. But I also really it blew my mind that I saw these women making these incomes that were life-changing for their family. And also that not make money while you sleep, but it was that idea of like this passive compound income. And that's the gift I want to give to other women, because I came into this industry $100,000 in debt and working 80 hours a week, right? And so like to be able to change that trajectory of my life when I grew up in like generational poverty, basically, like that was life changing, right? And so we're getting to help help people like heal these generational patterns. So anyway, my recruiting has been largely through social media attraction, which is ironic because I don't post hardly at all on it comparatively. Like when I first started, we were told to like post 3 times a day. Stories didn't exist. And I like am so in awe of Kim every day. I'm like, oh my gosh, how does she post on her? Like she's just, and she loves it. I don't love it. And I'm like, you can tell that she loves it. And I don't, it stresses me out. So I just want to say, like, even though like the cadence and the amount of social media posting isn't necessarily even the differentiator, right? You do what makes you feel joyful, but I do use my social media very intentionally. I have a lot of personal conversations for me initially that look like getting on the phone with people, and I still flub my words when I'm trying to write something in an inbox. Like I sound like an idiot, so I'll usually use a voice memo or just try to get them on the phone because I'm good conversationally. And then I funneled a lot of people into an info group, and that's more my kind of like Lindsay was saying, Hers is a lot more community based. Mine I made just to give them a place to like gather, like just is all Hugh and Grace information. So products, company mission, the advocate opportunity. And so I like needed a holding cell for them and a place to talk to them and sell to them that felt a little less one-on-one so I could like scale up, right? So those are the 3 tools that I've used. But beyond that, just when we're looking at like recruiting as a skill, and again, this is repeating what you've already heard a little, but I just want to really hammer it in because it really has to be these things. And if you don't feel this yet, it's just training a muscle. It really is, and it's just you trying it. So clarity in what you're offering is step 1. So and being on these trainings are the things that help you build the clarity and confidence, right? So like, and just showing up. But do you know who you're looking for? Do you know why you want to grow a team and what you're inviting to? So I think that's really important to be able to answer that for yourself. Like, do you know what kind of person? Here's a great example. I was a yoga instructor for a long time. My brand on Instagram originally when I started, it was a yoga account. A lot of yogis, and I love yogis, I'm a yogi, but a lot of yogis are a little flighty. They want a really free life. They don't like, like not generally, but if you look at like, someone who's like leading with yoga on Instagram, like they want detachment from commercialism. They don't want to like, have to work super hard, etc. And so I'm like attracting these, they're also a lot younger than me. And so I'm like in my mid to late 30s attracting these 20 something yogis and trying to figure out why they didn't want the business like I wanted the business, right? Or why they weren't wanting to work as hard as I wanted to work as hard. So I had to look at like, who was I really wanting to talk to? Did I really want to attract a 25-year-old yogi? Is that my dream? Was that my dream business partner? It could be yours, but it wasn't mine, really clearly. So I had to really shift who I was talking to. And I really got clear on why I wanted to grow a team because I wanted to grow impact, I wanted to grow community, and I wanted to grow passive income. So like, why do you want to grow a team, right? Are you wanting to move up through the ranks? Are you wanting to build the income? Are you wanting to build a community? Are you wanting, like, what do you want? Why do and there's no right or wrong answer. It's your answer. And then confidence in those conversations, whether you're in an inbox or on a phone call, like the delivery is key. And like Kim was saying, you have to be like being really excited. That comes across as confidence, right? But if you've ever okay, I was a waitress for 20 years. And if you've ever I always ask my waitress or waiter, like, oh, do you have any recommendations? Or like, how's this? Like, if I'm looking at something I've never eaten there, I'm like, how's this salad? And if they're like, oh my God, it's so good, you will love it, right? Versus, it's okay. Some people like it, right? Are you going to order the salad if that's how they answer it? Like, you're not, or whatever it is, right? It doesn't have to like, but how is your delivery? Well, it could be free. Yeah, it's pretty great. Yeah, I think I like it. No one's gonna like, you're not breeding confidence in people's decision. This is a big decision for the right person, right? You want people to have to take a minute to decide. You want people to think about this until like you want objections. You want people to be ideally, I think it's essential that people are pushing back and asking questions and probing and taking a minute because that means they're taking this decision to join you as a business partner seriously, right? There's a lot of people that were like easy yeses, really impulsive. Most of the time, they don't stick around that long. They're just as impulsively out as they were in, right? So being really confident and clear is going to help people see like that you're the person to trust, you're the one that's going to lead them, and then also give them confidence to be able to ask you those hard questions, right? To be able to trust you that you're going to guide them through this decision process. Step 3 is the intentionality in your funnel. And by that, I mean, like, so I think of like everything getting to that point of enrollment is like the funnel is wide. It starts out really wide, a lot of people in it. By the time you get to the end of the funnel, like only a little bit comes through. And so that's why like having an active inbox is really key. Like doing parties, like having people just seeing your name, hearing your voice, having those conversations, because 1 in 20 1 in 20 are gonna be a yes right now, right? Like that doesn't mean they like disappear, they'll swirl around. But I think of And I never want someone to feel like I've got a target on their back or they're a dollar sign on their forehead for me. Like it really is around those relationships. And so if I can just know exactly what my goal for them is, my goal is for them to be healthy and happy and be connected in our community, right? And that ideally, my goal is that they're going to be a rock star advocate and want to build a business alongside of us. A lot of times, like I think Kim is really great and she can speak to that on the end if she wants, but like since she is such a great saleswoman, like a lot of people are coming in as customers and then she's nurturing them along that continuum and like ultimately gonna convert most likely to advocates at one point. And I know that's part of her like her process of nurturing those customers as she brings them in, even in her email nurture sequence. Kim, I saw you on mute. Go ahead.
Oh, no. So what I was saying was, so a lot of my customers become advocates because I put the link in my stories. And so most people think like people are just clicking on that link and just going. And it's like, no, what happened, like literally, I was off my phone from Christmas to like New Year's, and I signed the most advocates. And I really wasn't on there as much as possible, but I was sharing the link and I was sharing like, hey, it's $29. And so those people who love the products already, they're a customer of mine, they were like, yeah, like I want to do this as a business and stuff. And so those are the people that you do it. And just I want you to know every post I post about the business opportunity is the least liked.
Mhm.
Nobody likes it. Nobody comments on it. And if they do, they're not the people signing up with me. And so I was telling Courtney this the other day, everybody's eyes are on you. You just don't know it.
Yeah.
And that's why when you show up and you're confident in whatever, they're like, they'll reach out to you, or when you reach out to them, they've been watching you. They're not liking your stuff or commenting. And they don't like success a lot of times. So if you're talking about the success of what you're doing, don't expect people to like you. That's just the way the nature of social media is.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
If you guys set up a group, as a person who also business coaches, I get the most like, my group is not engaged. I get that a lot. And Kim just hit it. That is why we want to be a human in there too, but don't like let that be like drive you crazy. Okay. They're watching. They may not be engaging, but they're watching. So I just wanted to like, if you guys have groups and it's like, it's
No,
just
I think
know.
that's a perfect thing to say because a part of that funnel, like I said, I use a Facebook group and I'm posting in there and most of it's crickets now. It was a little bit more engaged initially because it was a hot audience. Now, 5-6 months later, like it's kind of probably like I don't post in there a lot. It's not high in the algorithm, but they've been seeing it. It's showing up in their newsfeed. And so in my funnel, it has to go back on my shoulders. I go to the inbox. And now I have these people, that's my list. And that's how I stay organized. I go to the list, the members list, and I'm in the inbox with those people, right? And I'm talking to those people. But I know where my plan is. And again, I think part of this funnel and the intentionality with it is I'm gonna talk about social media on the next slide, and that's part of it is, but also meeting people where they're at, right? Like if someone wants the discount, I'm not going to stand in the way of that, right? Like and like Kim was just saying in her stories, like people love this company, they love the value and like they want to like be part of that. And I don't like prejudge them, be like, oh, you're not, like you have to want to earn a certain X amount of money to be an advocate. No, I meet them where they're at. If they're just in the learning stage, the voyeur stage, the kicking tires stage, or just the observing and gathering information stage, I'm going to meet them where they're at and serve them there. And you, like I said, you've already heard this from Kim and Lindsay, but again, I just think I see people hit the panic button a lot, really fast when things aren't happening for them as fast, or like everyone didn't like clamor for that link, or the conversations got quiet or whatever, right? Like this is a long game. It really is, especially when recruiting. It's really just always comes back to this farmer analogy. Like if you've ever gardened, or you understand the mechanics of being a farmer or a gardener, like you plant a seed, the seed doesn't grow and you're not harvesting vegetables the next day. You're just not, right? We all know that, whether you've done it yourself or not. So you have to plant the seed, nurture the seed, water the seed. Sometimes something comes and like, gobbles the worms. Like sometimes it doesn't even sprout, but you have to nurture it and continue to work the land, work the soil, and then just be patient. So that was my little analogy for patience, and just trust, but that you have to stay in the driver's seat. That means you continue to nourish, you continue to serve, you continue to follow up, you continue to like not make that relationship weird. If someone was like, I'm all in, and then all out because they just got scared and they weren't ready, or maybe it was more about maybe they were feeling that they were being pushed into something, or they just weren't ready, right? Like, we can let that be weird and let the silence make it awkward, or we can just be like, oh my gosh, I saw in your stories you're talking Love is Blind, can we please talk Love is Blind? Because like that's, or whatever, like you can control whether something gets weird and awkward and decide that it's not going to be, because it could easily, we've all been there, right? And sometimes we do have feelings, and it's okay to have feelings, and it's okay to be frustrated. It's okay if someone like lets us down because they said they were going to do X, Y, and Z and we were hoping, but also it's like their job is not to, they are not responsible for our growth in our business. Like you got to work through that on our own, right? They get to decide when it's ready for them. So strategic social media is what I wanted to do as a group exercise in the chat. So we're going to just make a couple lists in the chat. We're going to just start with list 1, but this is something I've trained for years. I really wanted, when I think it was Shalene who first taught us about curiosity or attraction marketing years and years ago. And I was like, I like the idea of this because I hate cold messaging and I don't like being in my inbox. So I'm like, okay, I will master this. And I'm definitely not a master of it. There's many, many people that are much better at it, but I'm intentional with it and I'm consistent with it. And it haven't inboxed for 7 years, 8 years. So it works, right? Didn't work overnight. So, but what I teach is you always want to try and figure out what makes this duplicatable. So I make a social media plan, and it's not a formal plan. It's just a fluid thing. And it starts with a couple lists. The first is like, what are you most excited about? What are you loving here? What are you learning? How are you growing? What are you looking forward to? Right? With Hugh and Grace. So put in the chat what comes to your mind. Like, I'll chat with you. Okay, there's no right or wrong because it's all going to be individualized. So I was excited about Hawaii. Everyone could win. I was excited about the customer program. I loved the back office. I remember when Amanda gave me a tour of the back office, I was like, my jaw was on the ground and she thought I was insane because she's like, why are you so excited about this? I'm like, you don't understand the kind of back office I came from. I loved the mission. I love Sarah and Ben and Hugh and Grace. So keep going. Everyone keep going. So simple. Yep, Rita, I see yours. Try to get as specific as you can. What about the products? What about the community, Michelle? Peace of mind. Yes. Yep. I loved the forward facingness of the product, of the transparency of the integrity of the products. Okay, I'm gonna give another few seconds just to keep putting in the chat. Like I said, there's no right or wrong. Perfect. See how that's just a little different, Michelle? And I'll show you why that's important in a second. Okay, so we're gonna pause. Now we're gonna leave. Now this is our, we're gonna make a second list. So what are we leaving behind? What were your specific pain points? What were you struggling with? Where were you stuck? What were your fears or objections when looking at Hugh and Grace? Okay, so let's put that in the chat. So I didn't know if I could do it again. I didn't know if I had the energy.
I think for me, I kept trying to compare myself with the way other people were bringing people in and underestimating my own power in that, you know, I tend to be a leader who makes things very simple. I don't do a ton of extra things. And sometimes you can feel like, oh, am I not doing enough or whatever? But like your way of leading is going to bring in people who want to be led that way. So,
Yep. 100%. Okay, so add some stuff in the chat. You're gonna be able to use these lists to make your own list. Like I want you to take, but a lot of times, a lot of our lists will overlap. So, but it doesn't mean that it will. The beauty of this is that this is personal. If you're doing this right, like this is completely duplicatable because this is your story. Yes, Dawn, that's a great example. All right. Everyone put one thing. I noticed everyone had something, a fear or an objection. What were you wanting to change? One analogy that I used to use a lot was like the old you was on like let's safe island. This island where it was like you needed to get off of it, but and you're like swimming to island 2, right? Like the safe island that was full of like what you were looking for, what you were wanting to grow into. And so as you're making this passage to this new island, like what was that? What something compelled you to like jump into the scary ocean where there are sharks and unknowns, right? And navigate to this safe new island. Like what compelled you to take this leap? Perfect, Rita. Okay. Anyone else have something to add? You can keep going. And then we use that to make our like marketing plan, right? So your target audience, if you want to get really is you really, you're gonna really resonate with the people that like feel your journey, that feel your story. And there are so many aspects of your story. I have people, just someone today was like, oh my gosh, we talked about lashes. And someone else talking about baby cows. And someone else talking about yoga. Like people are paying attention. And a lot of times, like I haven't talked about yoga in a long, long time. Someone was talking about retreats. Like people are watching you. And so the more you can share of just who you are, the things that make you are going to help really like filter out the right people for you on social, right? But by using these lists, it can be a really great attraction content calendar to pull the right people to you. And you want to blend them together. You don't have to, no, you never, ever, ever have to share something that feels too personal for you. Like our story is really powerful. And I think it's really powerful to be vulnerable and open. But like, I think for a while there was a trend in social media where you're supposed to like share all your dirty laundry and like air your like bare your soul to the world. No, people are vicious. No one deserves that like amount of internal personal info unless you really want to share it. Like I will never tell you need to share some personal like trauma or something or anything that just feels like, no. But I do think there's a power in the vulnerability of sharing just your truth, right? And so because that's how someone goes, me too. And what I was saying the other day on one of our leaders calls was the first list is going to get people like, oh, that looks fun, or oh, I want that, or that is amazing, or that excites me. But what happens psychology wise is a lot of times people go, well, that could never be me though. That's great for her. I would love that, but that could never be me, right? That limiting belief will just cloud that even the belief for a lot of people that's even possible for them. So the second list comes in because that's where they go, oh, she feels how I felt. Maybe it is possible for me. Or that happened to her too. Maybe this is possible for me. Or, oh, if she could do it, why not me? Right? So it makes people go, okay, me too. And then it goes out of the limiting beliefs and it starts to plant that seed of possibility and hope. And it kind of like overshadows that doubt that usually just drowns out their belief in what's possible. Does that make sense? That's what I've seen to be the true for the people I've talked to. And I think it could be a really authentic, not icky way of just really attracting your people and really connecting them, building that trust and belief in them. And I use that list to also talk through objections. And I use my social media to talk through objections. So if someone's telling me their fear or their pushback or they're like, I'm not so sure because of X, Y, and Z, like I know their story because, like Kim said, because I've asked them the questions, we've talked, I know what's going on for them. I know those I'm not gonna like necessarily come at them and be like, well, here's how I think you should see this, right? Because they're gonna like a lot of times when someone feels like sold to or pressure, their ears close and they start thinking of what they're gonna say in response. They kind of get like low-key defensive. So I'll use my social media to be that strategic conversation because they're watching your social media too. So I'll like use a quote that really spoke to me because if it spoke to me, it might speak to them. I'll use recognition to tell a story, to tell someone else's objections or limiting beliefs or what they've overcome. I think recognition is a really powerful way to show the good, the both lists at the same time, right? And then like even the Maori roster, sharing that public, like strategic, like showing people winning, not just you. It's not like beyond yourself. And I always want you to be the hero of your own story. We are not stuck. We are not victims. We are here because you're not, right? You chose to rise above. You chose to change. I've learned so much from Brene Brown over the years. She's probably been my favorite mentor in personal development, but vulnerability sounds like truth, feels like courage, and they aren't always comfortable, but they are never weakness. So I want you just to remind yourself like that is you being strength and that it's you, the things I share now, I probably would have never felt comfortable sharing 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. So like that has grown with me, that confidence has grown with me. That's why you take your list and you share your truth. Sorry, there's a dog barking, but here's just some examples. If you go through my social media, my brand isn't, and I'm trying to get better about educating around products and things. Like I have a hormone health certification, but I don't lead with that. But I will lead with mindset, business, community. That has always been my brand. And that is what I will share. I will lead with, right? I've led with the business opportunity for 10 years. I stopped doing that with my last company because there was nothing, I couldn't sell that anymore. I just couldn't. I couldn't with integrity. So I found myself just get quiet altogether. And then my business stopped because there was no excitement and passion anymore. So, that's it. I think what questions do you have? Is there stuff that you're like, okay, I want to learn more about that, or was this helpful, or did we miss something? Are you feeling like, okay, I still need to learn more about X, Y, and Z? Feel free to unmute. Anything, Wendy, Rita, Michelle, Dawn? Thoughts? Thank you for being here. Can you give example of the difference between third person versus at you? Yeah. So, yeah, that's great. So, objection. I don't know that I have the energy to do this ever again. Right? Did it for 10 years. Kim and I could have had a conversation where she said that exact thing to me. And I could be like, Kim, I felt the same way. I always used to feel, felt, found. I know how you feel. I felt the same way. What I found was at Hugh Grace was that like, it doesn't feel the same. It is different here. And that could be a one-on-one conversation. And she could be like, yeah, sure. But she's already like in her mindset of like, no, I don't have the energy to do this again. Right. And so she doesn't really might not even hear what she could or might not hear what I'm saying in the inbox versus going and making a post about that saying, I didn't think I had the energy to do this again, but here's why I was stuck and burnout. Here's where those thoughts were and that belief was coming from. And here's what I found different. So have you ever been in a store where even though you're fully planning on buying something, right? Like a clothing department store, this happens a lot, where I fully know I want to buy something, but then the salesperson comes up and I'm like, oh my God, just please don't ask me. Please don't ask me. Like, and I like want to hide. I see you laughing. Anyone feel like that? Even though I want to buy something, but there's just that pressure of that spotlight and that attention. That's what happens in our inbox too. Even though like they're lovely salespeople, it just feels different versus if I saw something on their, versus the non-pressure way, or I hear the salesperson telling someone else, oh my gosh, these jeans are so amazing, or everyone's really dying over this sweater, and I'll hear it across from the way, or they hear them at the cashier register or whatever. And then I'm like, oh wait, what are they talking about? I need to go find that. Does that make sense? So that's for me, like the difference between direct versus third person. I don't know if Lindsay or Kim have a different perspective on that.
No, that was good. I feel like, so a lot of people have re-engaged with me because they've been watching what I post. And so like initially they told me no, and all the things like I'm too tired, I can't do that, whatever. And so now like I've gotten them to the point like they're willing to try the product. So it's like little by little. And the thing that they tell me all the time is like, I've been watching you, girl. I've been watching you. And when you're trying to tell people that the energy is different and you show up with that very energy that you're telling them that you have, it's hard for them to deny that because they're like, hey, girl, like I've watched you come alive, and stuff. And like that's one of the things that people said is that they're like, you're so bold, like you just like go out there. And I'm just like, I'm a single mom, like nobody's coming to save me. I have to be bold,
Have to be the hero of your own story. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great question, Jen. Anyone else have a? Okay, are you up for a homework assignment? Rita, Michelle, Wendy, Jen. And I'll do this too. We'll all do this too. Is make your 2 lists and put them in the comments of the live stream on our team page. And then tag like a teammate to do it too. And then I want you to, the hardest part is like taking that next step and actually like pulling that together. And then I use those as like a checklist, not like a formal one, but I'll look at those lists. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I haven't talked about this in a while. Or, I actually saw Kim talking about something, because actually Kim, I do this with Kim a lot. She is so consistent with sharing. I'm like, oh my God, I have never talked about that. Yes, I need to talk about that more. So like getting ideas from one another is really powerful too. That's why even looking at each other's lists, because you're like, oh, actually that is true for me. Maybe it isn't true for you, but it could be true for someone else. So sometimes you can even use some other people's ideas and just share someone else's story or someone else's win to talk through. Like I want to share Michelle and Cindy and how great they're doing with home parties. Like I don't have a personal experience with a home party, but like I love that. I love that that's another way off social media to win and be successful, right? And so you can share other people's wins, because it's going to speak to someone. Anyway, I know this has been a lot. Thank you for staying on. On the 28th, our training will be on follow-ups. So that'll be at 11 a.m. East Coast time on the 28th. And then my thought is that on the opposite weeks, the 1st and 3rd Thursdays, is we'll host, whoever wants to hop on, we'll host like a coffee hour, like a coffee chat, like a office hours kind of thing. So anyone who has specific questions needs a little, sometimes people just need like visual like tutorials, like show me how to do this, or like what's the, where do I find this? And we'll do that on those off weeks. Okay. Well, great. Thanks, guys. That was so great, Kim and Lindsay. I'm excited to go recruit now, like even more. Bye.